I'm not on mute. Got it. All right. Anyway, welcome everybody. I will be brief because I would rather hear what do you guys think and what do you have questions about. Not only about our program, but about summer programs in general. So I'm happy to be here. And I didn't tell this to Joe earlier, and I'm telling him to him now and to all of you. So most of you recognize what this is, right? All right. So this is your campus, right? This is este es el colegio. And what I didn't tell Joe earlier is that this is where I did my undergrad, right? So if you see that red arrow up here, you can see this red arrow up here. That's where I grew up. So I grew up across the street from el colegio. So we would, play baseball and play soccer on those fields and in La Pista Vieja, and skateboard also around the buildings and get chased by the Guardia Universitaria plenty of time. So I am very, very excited to be able to talk to you about this opportunity, because for me, as a student in the Department of Biology, before, when biology department was in Celis, right, in the old building. I don't know what Celis is, like administrative now. But I really enjoyed it. I really had fun and great memories working there. But one of the things that really, really helped me to explore more of science and really get me to where I am today was doing summer research. And I had the opportunity to do a summer research program from my junior to my senior year, and it was very transformative, and it really helped me kind of get some direction, to stop being chased by cops around campus and get more direction in my life and guide me towards where I am today. So that was, I tell you this because this is one of the main reasons why I was really, when I started as a faculty at La UPI, at UPR Rio Piedras, that I was really excited about the opportunity that I could be able to do, put together a summer research program that I could then help other students with this a similar opportunity that I had, that for me was very transformative, and then help others have an opportunity like this. So we put together IQ Bio. So IQ Bio, this is our flyer for this year. So IQ Bio is interdisciplinary and quantitative biology research experience for undergraduates. This will be our fourth summer doing it. We did it for 3 years, and fortunately got funds to do it 3 more years. So basically our program, what it intends is to give students the experience of doing research, particularly at the interface between biology and computer science. Our research experiences from our faculty mentors cover different topics, from molecular biology to ecology, but in all of the different research labs that are engaged in our program, they all use some form of computation or quantitative analysis to analyze their data. So there are projects that are more related to molecular biology, and particularly having to do with gene expression in different organisms. And also we have programs that have to do with, satellite images of different landscapes, and using machine learning to understand how climate change is affecting different landscapes, be it, in tropical rainforests or mountains, or different areas of Puerto Rico as well. So one of the big emphases of the program is also that you will receive training in knowing all of these skills, right? So maybe, some of you are curious about learning about programming or computational biology, but don't necessarily have the background or the experience of what this entails. It also sounds kind of scary. Again, I was trained, as you guys are, in the Department of Biology in Mayagüez, and especially when I was there was nothing that resembled computational anything. I've had to learn as I go. But this offers an opportunity for you to learn now, to learn early, and be able to explore this area of research. So you have the link. Our application deadline is the 1st of March. Here's where you can find us in social media or whatever, and that's my email. Feel free to email me at any time about any questions. And this year we have a new co-PI, Esther Peterson, and she's also there to help. She's really amazing. Hopefully you'll get to meet her one day. So that's a little bit of IQ Bio, and then this is an idea of what IQ Bio looks like, right? So IQ Bio is 9 weeks. And we start the first Monday of June, which I believe that this year is the 6th of June, and will run till the first week of August, which I believe will be the 5th of August this year. And here we have a whole series of activities starting with the first week. The first week is pretty intense, and you can all talk to Mariani, who was a student of IQ Bio in 2020. The first week is really intense because it's when first of all, it's intense. Any first week of anything is intense, right? The first time you do anything is always like, you don't know what's going to happen. And it's there's some uncertainty and nerves. But on top of that, you're going to be doing these software carpentries, which are a series of workshops where you learn some basics of programming and scripting and learn different languages, mainly R and Python, or programming platforms, I should say, that are or tools that you're going to be using in your research throughout the summer. And then we have a whole slew of different activities, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but we do have some larger activities that are typically during the weekends, like this Replicathon and the machine learning workshop. And here we have people from Harvard and from MIT who come and teach these workshops, and they're collaborators that have been working together with us for all the time that we've had the program. They're really excited. They always have a lot of fun coming and sharing with us. And then we also have a hackathon at some point in the middle of the program. And in the hackathon, you get to hack your own projects. And many of you might think, what is hacking my own project, or how does my project, like some biology project, relate to like some hackathon that you'll typically associate it with computers or programming or whatever. But it's pretty much just a moment to very intensely work on your project and try to convince other people that your project is so amazing that they're going to stop working on theirs to work on yours. So that's like the real testament of how excited you are about your project, that others decide to work for you and not for them. But it's a lot of fun. We stay awake all night and have a pet, show off your pets at midnight kind of thing, and different fun moments to like break up the pain of working all night. But you do some summer presentations. We have final presentations, and there are in Rio Piedras, there are there are 3 other summer research programs for undergraduates, one in neurobiology, another one that is more in big data, and there is another one in chemistry. So all of the summer programs, we get together and do like a mini symposium when all the students present their work, and it's a lot of fun. And this year we will also have teachers that are going to be participating in the program. So we'll have 10 teachers that will also be there. So it's a lot of people. It's a very fun day because you get to present in front of all of your peers who you've been working with all summer. So that's pretty much what the summer looks like. You have activities every so often. You have to deliver, hand in, progress to show progress of your work, and it's really helping you move towards having a product by the end of the summer. And then here are some of the, these are students. These are all students from Puerto Rico that have been part of the program at some point. Mariani, but also other students from different campuses of the University of Puerto Rico or from Interamericana. And they've all participated during the summer, and it's been great to get to know more students and also see them not only be part of the program, but also going to other programs like Mariani, who came in 2020. And then I was really excited when then she went to Tech Bio in 2021. And then Joe could continue making her the great scientist that she is and continues to be. And we have many of these students here, that have done really amazing jobs and do really cool work. And some of them have continued to do this work. Even if they go back to their home campuses. So Paola, for example, is from Humacao, and she continued her research project even while she was in Humacao with one of the professors at Rio Piedras. And so has Damian, who is at Intermetro, but he continues working with Abiel Roche at the Recinto de Ciencias Médicas. And they're all doing really cool work. And all of the projects, if you have time to read through it, all of them involve some aspect of of computer, computational approaches or applications to biological work. So Mariani was doing bioinformatic characterization of a gene family in the sea cucumber. Paola was using a kind of like machine learning approach for images of butterfly wing patterns to see how they are different or similar. And the lab that she's working in, they're trying to uncover kind of the genetic mechanisms of how wing patterns change, are different between different species, right? And how some elements are conserved and whatnot. But they had to go through images, so she helped develop some machine learning protocols so they could analyze those images more quickly. And that was an idea that came up during the hackathon, actually. So it was cool for her to one of those ideas and turn it into something that was really useful for the project. That's all I'm going to say for now, because I'd rather have you guys talk. So, let's let Joe talk, which I'd rather hear Joe talk than myself. So I'm happy to answer any questions, and hopefully we'll have time at the end to discuss some more. So I'll cede the microphone over to Joe at this moment. So thank you for your time.
Okay, wonderful. Thanks, Juan. I appreciate that. What a nice reveal there. I didn't realize that your connection here. That's what a wonderful story. And sure it's amazing to come back and speak to that same group. Yeah, thank you to Mariani too and your group for inviting me here today. It's a real pleasure. As he also mentioned, yeah, we stole her the year after she was in IQ Bio, and it was a pleasure to have her in our program too. I do have several slides prepared to get through, but please feel free to interrupt me at any time, ask a question too. I also invite Juan to chime in as well. We had spoken earlier about this, and I'm going to give sort of a more holistic take on our program at least, and talk about some of the things specifically that we do in the program in addition to the research. And if there are things that Juan wants to talk about from his program, please do so. So this is our program. This is actually one of the buildings on our campus in Pitt. It's the Cathedral of Learning. I think it's the second largest educational building in the world, first in the Western Hemisphere, apparently. Really amazing structure on campus. It's sort of our landmark too. If you're lost, you can know where to get back to. The Tech Bio, training and experimentation and computational biology. I'm a sucker for acronyms. Everything I do has some funny name attached to it, and this is the one that came up for this program. I wanted to start off with an image of our students. They are our program. This is why we do this. Everything revolves around them. Same with Juan's program too. You guys are the reason why we do it. There's a familiar face here, of course, right here. And the past 2 years we've held virtual programs, but we were able to get last year's cohort together, and this was something that they all wanted to do, which was really amazing. And every one of them came to Pittsburgh for a few days to finish off the program, and it was a wonderful ending to that endeavor. So our program's been around for a little while. We officially through an NSF-RU program started in 2010. So we've had lots of great students who make T-shirts every year for the program. It's something that we do that's been fun. And again, I mentioned we had our 2020 version was a virtual implementation, and it actually also was a virtual reality implementation too. I know Juan had done this in his program too, but we had obtained virtual reality headsets, so the Oculus Quests or Oculus Quest 2s now, to do some fun stuff, but also this fellow here, Jacob Durant, is a professor at Pitt, and he developed a virtual reality platform to visualize protein structures. Anything from the protein data bank, you can load into his program in virtual reality, and you can literally get inside the molecule and see and explore and study it, which was a really amazing thing to do. And I think this technology is really amenable to a lot of things computational, obviously, and something that we look forward to keep going in with our program. The history of undergraduate training actually goes back even further to really the start of our computational department, or it started out as a center at the School of Medicine at Pitt. So we've been offering this some sort of training for undergraduates since 2003. We've been doing this quite a while. I joined the program in 2010, and that's when we moved this to an official REU program. Our students come from all over. This is a map of our last year's cohort, where everybody comes from or hailed from. And yeah, it was pretty geographically diverse from really everywhere across the US. Another area of diversity in our program is academic too. So we have students from almost every major, it seems like. Over the years, this has been, I don't know, maybe 20 different unique majors that we've had, a lot of combinations too. We had a lot of double majors that come in. Biology is always represented, extremely well in the program. I think it's usually one of the largest ones. Computer science too, so that it definitely reflects the interdisciplinarity of the field. We've been primarily female, I think, since the beginning. It's definitely been our representation. And then for our program, last year it's skewed to more senior students because I know a lot of students missed out on opportunities in 2020, but it's typically a split between juniors and seniors. And we do take some rising sophomores too every now and then. We had one in our program that year too. Okay, as far as where our students go typically, these are alums from 2010 to 2018. Others haven't graduated yet, so that's why these data are up to that date. The vast majority go on to either work, study, teach in the STEM field. 60 to 65% go on to graduate school, and that's the main focus of the RU programs, is to prepare students and give them the skills and confidence to go on to graduate school and to careers in STEM too. And that's where another large portion of our students go off to. We've had a lot of success with our students, thankfully. I think this is due to our really wonderful mentor pool. We've had 26 publications over the 12, 13 years that we've been doing this. So student contributions are really valued in the program, which has been great, even some first author contributions. And one thing we push for too is for students to apply for the NSF's pre-doctoral fellowship, the Graduate Research Fellowship Program, or GRFP. And our students, maybe in part from us, but just because they're amazing students too, have had success with this. So we've had 9 winners and 3 honorable mentions over the years too. I'll go through this quickly. Our goals, of course, we want to train the next generation of scientists. This slide is kind of old, and this is when comp bio was one of the new biologies. I guess it is still fairly new, but I don't think anyone uses that term anymore. But still, there's a lot of folks who just aren't aware of this field, and we want to increase numbers of folks going into this field and these and related areas. And really, the culture of teaching and mentoring is another thing that's a really big part of what we do, what I like to do or try to do in my department too. And as part of that, I'll skip through this. We have this, kind of all hands on deck mentality for the program. So, the undergrads, they're tech bio or techies, as we call them, are really at the center of a lot of this. And, we have our primary faculty, we have postdocs, we have grad students, and we get all of them involved to help work with our students. There are a lot of opportunities to work with other students that are they're already at the University of Pittsburgh or are there for another summer program. And then we actually also have a high school program too that we run, and we love to have our techies mentor the high school students and work with the high school students. It was a little difficult doing that virtually, but we were still able to do that to some effect. Students get to recognize an outstanding mentor every year, which is, I think, is always a nice, rewarding thing for them too. So for our program, of course, the focus is computational biology. We have a theme, which is simulation and visualization of biological systems at multiple scales, which pretty much means we do everything. It's kind of a catch-all, but there's work done at the molecular, subcellular, cellular, even population level for the many mentors that we have. We have a number of orientation activities, like Juan mentioned. There's a lot up front. It's a short amount of time, and we want to equip you guys as much as we can with the skills and confidence from the beginning. Research is most of the time. Our program is a 10-week program, so we say 9.5 weeks of research, because there's a little bit of onboarding and a little bit of getting ready for your presentations at the end. We do a lot of professional development, and of course, there's several social things to do too. Okay, one thing with the research, the guiding principle is that we want to have a pathway to independence for our students. We don't expect our students to come in and be able to do everything that their PI wants them to do right away, but we want the PI to be able to work with them and mentor them to get to a point where they start to become independent. And that's kind of the guiding principle really with all the RU programs. And of course, it's a graduate level experience. So like a graduate student, you're going to have to balance research with other activities, having a life, things like that. This is another representation of the work that is captured in our program. There's really 5 major areas. There's computational structural biology, computational genomics, bioimaging informatics, cell and systems biology, and then computational drug discovery, which is kind of an offshoot of structural biology, is another major area that our program focuses in. And in green here, it just shows all the different slices of how a lot of these fields overlap, and some of those subfields that are at those intersections, and a lot of the different projects and that our students work on. As I mentioned, we have a really great mentor pool. It's about 35 potential mentors. They're not all involved every year, but we have a great pool of folks to pull from. This is a screenshot from our webpage, and this is searchable too. I know it can be a little bit overwhelming, but if you're interested in a particular one of our areas, you can search by that. You can search with other keywords. So I think it helps narrow down this. It can be a little bit of a daunting choice. And you don't have to pick. We can, if you're interested in a certain area, we'll try to match you up with a mentor that will align best with what we can glean from your application. Or in talking with you. We've had a lot of students reach out to us and talk specifically about mentors, get in touch with them ahead of time, even before they make decisions to come to the program. As I mentioned, there's a lot of professional development we do. We have seminars. We actually had Juan give a seminar in our virtual iteration in 2020 too, which was one of the nice things about having a virtual one. We can just hop on Zoom and talk to people from all over the place. There's of course ethics and a lot of stuff for careers too. You get a chance to do a lot of presentations in our program, as with many others. There's a journal club, a research roundtable, which is just an informal way to just talk about everyone's projects, and you all get to hear about what everyone's working on too. And then some talks at the end, and a poster, which we've been doing in virtual reality at the end too, which it's funny, when we did this in 2020, that was the first time we felt like we were in the same room together. We had been on Zoom for 10 weeks, and then once we were in VR, I was like, oh wow, we're actually feel like you're there with somebody, can shake somebody's hand virtually. We've implemented a weekly tech bio games interviews and fun, TGIF as we call it. We try to bring back our alumni from previous years to come and talk to our students. We have a special guest every week. It's alumni or faculty or graduate students, and for our students to get to know a little bit more about them, what it's like to be a graduate student or a faculty member, all over playing some fun game where it lightens the mood a little bit, and just to decompress from a week at the end on a Friday. One thing we've implemented recently is training called Entering Research, and really this is training for mentees to make them more effective mentees, despite who your mentor is or what your mentor might be going through. So this is something we spend a lot of time with at the beginning, and it touches on a number of different competencies or areas of trainee development, as they're called. Communicating just your identity as a researcher, your confidence as a researcher, your independence, equity and inclusion, professional development, and other things like that. This is our schedule. Again, it's pretty front loaded, so the weeks go across here. And then once we get going, we try to have most of the events on particular days where we can give some large chunks of time to just focus on the research. But there's usually one event on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and at the end of the day on the Friday. If we're in person, it's an ice cream social. If it's online, it's the TGIF event. One thing that I think is unique to our program is that we have our students serve on committees. I used to joke that one of the banes of being a faculty member is that you have to serve on committees, and we wanted you to share in our pain with that. So that's not the intent, obviously, but this is a way that we have our students really take ownership of the program and to get more involved in the scientific community too. So it's T-shirt, social, mentoring, ambassador, the 4 we have. Everyone serves on 2 at least. And just some details on this from the T-shirt committee. It's from design to delivery. That's everything about it. But social, which was really important during the pandemic. We have folks that just helping keep the cohort together, making connections. The mentoring committee are folks that are working with our high school students and in that local the local program. And then for the ambassador committee, we want to make an impact on the public too. And I think we're at a time now when that's really important to make a positive impact, with science, to the lay public. This is something that this committee is tasked with, and whether it's writing to our local Congress people to invite them to the end of year symposium, or just telling them about the program, or having a Twitter account that just has profiles on the students. This is what a scientist looks like. These are who the scientists are, the next generation of scientists, especially, or whatever it may be. This is something that we think is really important, and we're trying to foster in our cohorts as well. I don't know if folks have been to Pittsburgh or are familiar with Pittsburgh, but I tried to give a little snapshot here. We kind of were known for fries on sandwich and salads. That was like the big thing for Pittsburgh, but and steel mills. Like it was always seen as a really dirty city because there was soot in the air all the time. But I think Pittsburgh has really transcended all of that. The mills are pretty much gone now. That hasn't really been a big industry for decades now, and thankfully it didn't really succumb to a lot of what the other cities did in the Rust Belt. It was able to reinvent itself, and it became a real hub for education, for biomedicine, and now we're having a sort of a tech revival too. There's a ton of startups they're spinning off of University of Pittsburgh and Carnegie Mellon, and a lot of tech giants are actually moving into the area too, and having a presence there. So it's really been growing quite a bit. And one of the nice things is it's a smaller city. It's known for its neighborhoods. This is just a snapshot of one. It's very hilly. We are in the foothills of the Alleghenies, and which gives us a unique architecture or landscape, which adds to your cardiovascular health at times when you have to trounce up these hills. But I think it's definitely shed this old gray, dirty image that it had into something that's considered one of the most livable cities in the US. It has been a number of times. There's a ton of things to do outdoors too there, which is great. We have these beautiful 3 rivers that join to here. There's the Allegheny, Monongahela, that forms the Ohio, and that really also makes the city based on a triangle, which is really confusing to drive downtown, but there's a lot of riverfront things to do, which is wonderful. And there's a lot of parks and beautiful, incredible views of the city around. As I mentioned, this is where Pitt is, and literally, actually, there should be no space between these. Carnegie Mellon University is our immediate neighbor, and we do a ton of things with this school too. The graduate program in computational biology is actually a joint program between our two universities. We do that together, and there's a number of other programs that are the same too. Not even a mile down the road is another research institution too, Duquesne University, and there's a ton of other small, more liberal arts focused colleges kind of smattered throughout. There's even a high school on Pitt's campus too. It's a science and technology high school where we get a lot of our summer high school students from too. There's a ton of things to do in the summer as well when folks come to visit us too. We have a beautiful baseball stadium that overlooks the river and the city. The team is just horrendous. They've been for years with a small spike of a couple good years, but the baseball stadium is absolutely stunning. The History Museum and other museums are amazing. They have, I think, one of the largest dinosaur collections in the world that's on display, which is really nice. A lot of free stuff to do too. There's this arts festival that has 10 nights of concerts in the open. There's a ton of vendors there too. They're selling their artwork, which is great. We have a local amusement park, plenty of parks to do activities in. So, and we try to provide a lot of ice cream as well in the summer. So yeah, for our program, the deadline for applications Feb 14th, just for some details. We usually, this is a little secret, we leave it open for another week in case we get some stragglers coming in. So that's not a hard deadline. If you still want to apply past the deadline, you can always let me know too. I'm a softie for things like that. We are anticipating an in-person program in 2022. I hope that goes as planned. And there's a few things that we need. And again, we're happy to talk more about strategies for applying to RU programs, ours, or even other programs or whatever it is. For us, list of courses you've taken, unofficial transcript, 1 to 2 letters of recommendation, and then a personal statement that really just shows your interest in the field. Like, why do you want to do computational biology? Or that show us that you want to do this, and that you're considering this as a career too. That's really what we're looking for. I'm sorry, there was something in the chat. So is there a possibility that these programs can be canceled, postponed, or virtual due to COVID? I would say yes. We were hoping that in 2020, we were hoping that, okay, halfway through, we'd be able to come back in person. That didn't happen. We were hoping in 2021 that we would do that in person. That didn't happen. We are anticipating, again, that this would be in person, but at least for us, we can never be sure. We're not 100% on that. I wish. What recommendations can you give about personal statements? Maybe that's something we can, in the question and answer, we can get to too. But whether or not both programs accept students without experience. Maybe I'll just touch on that a little bit for us. Our program does skew for more students that have some experience, or that are at least positioned well and show that they are ready to have this experience. One of the letters of recommendation that I remember so much is that we had one student who applied, who the person who wrote this letter said, coursework, she's done everything that she could do at our institution. We can't offer her anything else. And, it was just like, wow, okay, this is the person that this is the kind of person that we're looking for. She's done everything she can at her place. She's, had a little bit of a local experience, but, she needed this environment to have a real, a genuine research experience. Not that anything she did before wasn't genuine. So that's all I had. So let me stop sharing my screen here. Maybe we can, I guess, jump right into the Q&A for this. Maybe, Han, did you want to say a little bit about your program in that sense and the background of the students that you see?
We do take students that that do not have research experience. And students that we also have accepted students that are from their freshman into their sophomore year. But really, and this goes to the question that Estela asked about this, building a stronger application. And I'll speak for myself, but I'm sure Joe will have a similar sentiment, is that because these programs are very, specific in the sense that they are bringing together, computational and quantitative strategies and biology. We want our program, IQ Bio, we want our students to be interested in that, right? We want a student that is very much interested in doing the computational work. Or doing some, interdisciplinary work that brings a little bit of both worlds into it. And so for the application, that is something that we really look at, is more about a student being like really interested in our program specifically versus just having kind of a general interest in, I just want to do some research. So we give a lot of weight to a student that might not have a lower non-competitive GPA, as they were asking right now in the chat, or might not have as much experience, but is really, it's like, it shows, at least in the essay, it's like, I really want to do this computational stuff. Ideally, they've taken a course, they have some some skills, or that shows that they have been interested in this for a while. But I think that's something that is very important to keep in mind, is that when you're applying to a program, I mean, we only have 10 spots, right? And we want to make sure that these 10 spots, we're giving it to the 10 people who are going to take the most advantage of the opportunity. So it's like, you have to convince me that you really want to come to my program, or Joe's program, or whichever program you're interested in. So I'll stop for now. I'll let Joe riff on that as well.
Yeah, no, I'd echo those same things. So I don't know what a lower non-competitive GPA is. I had a 3.07 GPA in college, and I barely had enough to apply to graduate programs that I did. And I don't think my GPA indicated my desire or ability to do science, and so I don't use that as a limitation for students applying to the program. So, again, if that's the case, convince us, right? Too, right? Other people that are looking at this, show in your personal statement, why do you want to be here? Kick down the door, basically. Show us and tell us how what your interests are in this field, why you want to apply to the program, and really have the passion kind of come through. I want to be inspired when I read these statements. I don't want to read a list of accomplishments necessarily, or just say, oh yeah, I got an A in this class, I want to know that you took a good look at the program, you like what we have to offer, you like the different aspects of this, you like the research, even specific faculty members and talking about their research. I kind of want to see that some homework was done for that too, and again, it just shows a genuine interest in the field in general, and as Juan said too, in our programs too. It makes us feel nice. Feel good that there's an interest there too. Should we just keep capturing questions, or how do you want to do this? Sorry,
there's a question that
information about housing,
but also about about not being as fluent speaking it, and people have this question that could this be a limitation to participate or be admitted?
Yeah, for us, we're probably not going to know that coming in, and I would hope that that's not going to be a barrier for folks too. Again, we want to see that passion that you want to do this. People learn how to communicate with each other, especially through science too. So, there are ways, to get around that. One of the things as well, like we have for our high school program, we actually get students from a local school for the deaf that participate in that program. And being on Zoom is difficult, but we made sure that everybody is with us, and that their accommodations are made for everybody, and through that program too. So we want to make sure that students get the support that they need. If through the application and writing, we're not going to really have a gauge of how well you speak the language, and it's not really it's not going to be a barrier, even if we could too.
The one thing I would say towards that is also, if you recognize this as an area that you want to improve, this is a great opportunity to be in a situation where you do have a common language, which would be science, to talk about. And it would be a great way to just put yourself out there and learn something new. A lot of what you're going to do in these summer programs is learn new things. So they're great opportunities to learn something new. And if you're up for it, then it's a great challenge. It's a good moment to do it. And especially at this moment in your career trajectories, if it is something that you want to develop and it's a skill that you want to attain, it's the best possible moment to do it. But you have to be very, proactive and throw yourself out there. And we can think about that in terms of spoken languages, but we also are going to be learning computer languages, right? So it's for both, you need to be up for the challenge, right? And then going to something new that will be uncomfortable at many moments. And it will be, I don't want to do this anymore because this is, getting on my nerves. But you will have the, the kind of the push to overcome it. If you're willing to learn and up for the challenge, it should not be a limitation.
We also have another question up in the chat about if lab instructors can write recommendation letters.
Is that, so I'm assuming, is this like from a lab class?
Yeah,
or
like
a lab?
a TA
TA,
type
yeah.
of.
I see. I think in general, it's always, if you can get a letter from a professor, it tends to read better. But for a letter, I want to read about this, that somebody knows the applicant and can comment on their capabilities and potential as a scientist, right? And I've seen letters where somebody said, "Oh yeah," and they might be interested in research, and they definitely want to go and do this other thing that's not related to science at all for a career. Like, okay, well, that says something, but like I said, I mentioned that other letter that I read that was like, wow, this person knew everything that the student had done and knew what also that they needed to do next. And you know what, even if that was from somebody who wasn't a professor, I think that would have had a very similar impact too. If you're in a situation where it's a TA, but there's another professor that's involved, if they can write the letter together where the TA actually does most of the writing, and the PI can sort of co-sign off on it, or just add some other things too, that could help strengthen those types of letters. But I think you want people that know you well, that can comment on things that you're going to be talking about too, but also just your potential and your skills and who you are. Juan, did you have anything to add to that too?
I think you covered it.
Elia also asked in the chat about housing information, how it's held, if in-house or present in the university.
I'll very quickly say, in Rio Piedras, you stay Plaza Universitaria, which is across the street from campus, when you do stay there. And it's right kind of in the middle of Rio Piedras. So yeah, you will have a room to yourself, but with a shared space that you share with one other person. So that's housing in Rio Piedras.
Yeah. For us, there's a dorm complex that's very close to the hub building for us. It's like maybe 3 blocks away or so, right on campus. Similar, there's suites, they're 4-person suites. Everyone has their own room. There's a common area, that's shared with everybody. They're pretty comfortable, actually. our dorm used to be at the top of one of the, what they called, what was it? Heart attack hill or cardiac hill, right next to one of the hospitals. And it's a super steep hill. But now it's a flat walk, which is nice and very close. And hopefully, again, it's up to them pretty much whether or not they're going to open the houses and dorms in the summer, whether we can house students. And I think when Mariani and her group came, we put them up in a local hotel, actually, that was right across the street. But I don't think that's something we can do for 10 weeks.
Also, Luis asked us, is there a preferable major or experiences that could make me a more competitive candidate at the moment of evaluating my application? Thank you.
Luis, as Joe mentioned, we've also had students that are from different backgrounds, and we've had students that are from, engineering, environmental sciences, and chemistry, and mathematics, computer science, biology. So being that these programs are interdisciplinary, it's not that much of at least for us, right? It's not that much of a concern. We even had a student that was double majoring in biology and music, and his project actually had something to do with music. So he gave his presentation with a keyboard, which was really amazing. You were there, Mariani, that was awesome. What you'll see about these fields is that they, integrate knowledge from many different areas. So it's the work is related to biology, but it'll incorporate many other elements from other fields. So with regards to the major, at least for us, it's we actually often at least get excited about applications of students that have diverse backgrounds. So in terms of their majors.
Yeah, again, the same, for us too. When you think about it, our mentors, nobody went to a computational biology program because there weren't any computational biology programs. So, and they're just starting to emerge, more broadly now. So yeah, we have people from just as diverse as our students too, and that's who makes up the field, and I think that's what's made us a really rapidly growing field too, is that it brings in so many different perspectives on how to do this research. We even had in 2020, we had a student whose major was actuarial science, which I'm not even sure if I know what that is, but it's not really a hard STEM science. But the way he wrote his proposal was, he was doing this and, it's fairly quantitative, but he realized that's not what he wanted to do, and he wanted to get more involved in biology. And he convinced me that this was, a way to get involved in this, and that he really wanted to. So, it's we're not going to say, we're looking for one major over the other. There's so many things that go into it. For other programs, I don't know. I think, if you're looking at other programs too, spend some time on the websites. We try to put as much information on there as we can. I think a lot of other programs will too. Feel free to reach out to any of the contacts that are on these programs, these other programs, because some programs might be looking for a certain niche. If their focus is a little bit more narrow, they might be looking for a more narrow slice of students. But I think for computational biology related programs, it's probably going to be similar, where it's a diverse academic background.
So, and one thing I'll add to that, and this is a little peek behind the curtain, is that more than the major, one thing that at least we look at is we look at the courses that you've taken, and regardless of your major. But if we're looking to see how, even if you don't have a lot of experience with programming, right? But if you have taken, statistics with computers, or a bioinformatics course, or any other, a kind of higher level mathematics course and things like this, regardless of the background, that is something that will make your application stand out. because it's, and this, maybe thinking about the future in terms of what courses you're going to take, depending on where you want to go, the fields you want to go. This is something that programs look at. If it's something specific, they will, look at that, at your transcript to make sure that, all right, this person maybe doesn't have the most experience, but at the very, have some base from where to start working from. And again, you might not have straight A's, but you've taken the right courses, and it's like, all right, this person, the challenge. So that's something that is very different in terms of how you see it as a student and how you see it as, as a program director for selecting students. Is that we don't, at least I'm not looking for the 4.0. I'm looking for the person who has kind of the right mix of things to be a good fit for our program.
And just to riff on that a little bit more too, not even just coursework too, but just your own experiences. I took a Coursera course, right, on this. That's not going to show up on a transcript or anywhere. I taught myself this language, or I was fiddling with computers or whatever, and learned how to do this and that. That's something you're going to write about in your statement most likely, and we love to see stuff like that. The 4.0 statement reminded me. We had somebody who was actually on the, I think, MD PhD or maybe the MD admissions committee at Pitt, and he said, "I don't trust anyone with a 4.0 because it means that you did everything that you were told to do, and for the most part. I mean, some students are just gifted and can do that and a lot of other things, but in general, it was you did everything you were told, and you didn't go and explore and do other things and get involved in other things. It's an oversimplification, but again, that's not what we're looking for."
So there is another question about if there are programs for people that just graduated.
So there are at least our programs, we can only take students who are active students, but there are programs, post-baccalaureate programs or post-bacs, that are for students that are interested in doing, it's kind of a stretched out REU. So it's kind of a year long or 2 years of a program where you do research and receive, professional development training and maybe also skills training. So we applied for one. If we get the money, I'll let you know.
Yeah, the name of that one, is it REPS or RAMP? I know there's
RAMP.
RAMP.
NSF
Okay.
just.
Yeah. There's also an NIH program too. I can't remember the name of it, but it's also specifically for post-baccalaureate students. I'm not too familiar with it.
NIH is. So the RAMP program is nobody has it yet. This is the first time that they're going to do the application, the solicitation. So the first round of programs, deadline was last Friday, so I didn't sleep a lot last week. But I'll look up the NIH one right now, because there are a lot of those of the NIH, but those are all like NIH, right? Health related. I'll look for it.
So it looks like there's also an NSF, a REPS program too. Yeah, research experience for post-baccalaureate students. I think these are new. There's a lot of these because I think there's that missed generation in 2020 where there weren't many opportunities for RU students. And so I know NSF and NIH wanted to try to capture experiences for that batch of students at least. And so this has sort of spawned these other areas. Sorry, Maria, you were saying.
No, it's okay. I was gonna.
And I just posted the link of the institutions that have the NIH one is PrEP. So NIH is the National Institutes of Health, right? So these are all health related, and I think that some of them might include like mental health and other, neurobiology and addiction and different things. So I know I just sent you a link with a lot of information. Now you're not going to listen to what I'm saying, but check it out.
So we also have another question, and this might be our last. If anyone else have a question, aprovechen. but not. The question is, how is the program and students working in this time of COVID-19? Are there any limitations?
I guess you're talking about just physically, like how we're, running, how the universities are handling this. For us, this semester, everything was, I think they're giving a 2-week period for students to come back and, to be in classes and work in labs. After that, it's going to be in person. Again, we're anticipating this is going to keep rolling. There's a lot of precautions in place. Folks have to wear masks on campus. I think for our university, there was going to be a vaccine mandate. I don't think they're going to do that now, but I think you at least had to register or upload your vaccine card or submit to weekly testing or something like that. I think in the labs there was also social distancing efforts that were put in. For computational projects, it's a little bit different. I think a lot of students are just working remotely, and faculty too, for that matter. We were trying to get people together back safely, but it's just this constant, ebb and flow, and we hope it subsides soon enough to get back to normalcy. But I hope that addresses the question, at least from our perspective, what's going on at Pitt.
So Belmali's one thing, and I know Joe's good on the same. Like one thing that makes it very different is that one of the big, very important things about these programs is kind of also the experience, right? Of being together with a group of people and going through this experience and, engaging socially and creating this, bond with your cohort and the people in your group. We've been concerned about it, and we've gone out of our way to find things to do, and they might seem like the basic or simple or whatever, but they work out like we would have like an ice cream night. Again, ice cream, common theme. We would have like an ice cream night, so everyone would go and buy ice cream, and we would just sit in front of our computers like this and eat our ice cream and say, oh, this is my favorite ice cream, blah blah blah. And it sounds like even silly, but you really make a connection with others, and similarly, not only with the people in the program, but with the people in your lab and all that. So we're working hard to make it, to make it as positive an experience as possible. Hopefully, we've learned a lot from the virtual space, but hopefully we won't have to go back there this summer. But if we do, we're ready for it.
I like the comment you made there, Mariani. That's yeah, I'm glad you shared that.
Yeah.
I,
For a very long time. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Go for it. I'm sorry.
No, I think it's important to share those details, mainly in academia, because we don't know what a person is going through, or what were their situations that led us into that GPA. So I think it's important to, if you don't have a competitive GPA, it's really important that you show that you can do this and you have the interest to participate and just work on something that will enhance your development as a scientist. So yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Absolutely.
I'm receiving a question that I received twice directly, and I wanted to share because I think it might be on people's minds about the fact that you're online and you don't have access, you don't have much interaction with professors, and you don't know who to ask for a letter of recommendation. And this is something that's very tricky right now for you, that might probably, if you're in your first, second year, you might have never, seen a professor in person. We're actually real. But you might think we're just an image on a screen. But that's a good question. This is something that you should think about when you're in class, right? Because when you want a letter is not only something you check off the list, you want it to add something to your application. So you want this person to be able to say something about you. So if you're just in a class and you get a good grade and you ask me for a letter, and the letter that I can write for you will say this person was in my class and got a good grade, right? But that's already on your transcript. So something to keep in mind when you're in class, it's like if this person, you want to have a letter from this person, then you have to somehow let that person know a little bit more about you, either by participating in class and being more engaged, turning on your cameras, things like that. Yeah. But we've also for our program we had 2 letters. We recommend 2 letters of recommendation, but we will evaluate your application with only 1 letter. And that's an adjustment because of COVID.
Yeah, a great question. You know, it's actually honestly something I haven't really thought a lot about, but yeah, I know that's something that students are struggling with. And you know, something as simple as turning on your camera, right? That has a huge effect for faculty. You know, it's very difficult sometimes to speak to just a group of black squares, right? And white, you know, letters of names, and you know, showing that you're there and you're interested. And you know, the other thing that always comes to mind with this too is that, you know, so I'm an introvert, and asking a question in a large forum in school always scared me. Like I never did. I may have made college and graduate school because that's just not how I work. You know, I'm not one of those people, at least in the larger, you know, format courses like lecture courses and things like that. But you know, I think one of the nice things about, you know, things on Zoom is that you have the chat, right? And you know, if you don't feel comfortable engaging or you need some time to process information and think about it, reach out to that professor. That's, you know, one of the things I see in a lot of letters is that it's just they're building relationships. You need to get to know them too. And you know, if you're genuinely interested in something, just follow up on it. You know, if there are faculty that you know now, you know, again, the world is just opened up too through the professor that you're interested in working with. Can I have, you know, have some time? Just, I'd love to hear more about your research. You know, can you spare some time to just tell me a little bit more about this field? I'm interested in pursuing this. You know, and those things snowball, and just following your passions, following your interests. It's one of the best ways to network, really, and look for opportunities to help too. If there's, you know, ways to get involved, you know, like what Mariani's doing too, like just getting involved in these organizations, and you know, you'll get known too just by doing, again, what you love and what you want to do as well.
I don't know if there is any other question, but if you are interested in doing one, you can also use your camera and your microphone or write them directly. Meanwhile, I don't know if there's any more information on whether how to contact you guys, whether if they have a question about the program or something like that related. So it would be great if you would like to share your emails.
Yeah,
Just put them in the chat. I'm happy to.
Thank you. So everyone, you know now of these 2 amazing RUs. For me personally, both changed my my scientific development by a lot. Both were really different experiences, but experiences that I had to went through. And maybe sometimes when we apply to these amazing programs, we might feel like we are imposters. So we suffer a lot of imposter syndrome. So that is okay too. But the important thing is to just keep on going. And yeah. So I don't know if anyone has any more questions. If not, this would be the culmination of our first internship panel. We're very, very thankful for both of you guys to come in. This is really important for our association and our co-host, the CPM, the Círculo of Premedicos, and also the National Society of Honor of the Room. Así que nada, thank you a lot, all of you, for coming. Our asistencia is running through the chat, so be aware of that and fill it out so you don't miss our points or any of the Students Association's points. So yeah.
And I just wanted to say, I have 13 minutes until my next meeting, and I'm going to stay here.
Viste, para que
Right.
pregunte.
I'm gonna stay here so you guys can ask me more questions.
I'll hang out too. I did have one other thing to say too about the imposter syndrome, which I think that's a great point to bring up. And the mentee training that I mentioned actually kind of gets at that too. You'll be surprised how many people share those sentiments with you, even faculty as well. You know, getting involved in different projects and like, am I the right person for this? It really is. You know, these are still things that I think about too. And you know, it's a natural thing. Find your support, you know, look for your support each other. I think these are really, really important things. Also, I wanted to say, we didn't do research talks last year. We encouraged our students to do poems or some, you know, interpretive dance or something. And Mariani wrote a beautiful poem that was very inspiring.
Wow.
And I think it really captured her experience and some of the difficulties with that. And I really found it memorable. And so you can bug her, see if she will share it.
I
It was
will bug
beautiful.
you. I
Yeah.
will bug you. I want to hear it.
I don't have it anymore. I just I don't know
Ah.
who had the notes, but yeah. So if there is anyone lingering around and
There's 100
still
people still
wants
here.
to, if still wants to ask some questions, you should make them now.
Don't worry, I'll wait. When there are 10 people, they're gonna ask. I always remember I used to, when I was in grad school, they would send me to Puerto Rico to come recruiting. And I remember that I would give this talk, right? And then at the end, you would get like 3 people who would stay. And those were the ones that asked, the ones that were really interested. So I'm hoping we can recreate that virtually.
I have a funny anecdote too. In 2020, we had a group that was meeting to talk about the RU programs, to go from in person to virtual, and everyone was dealing with all this. So we had these meetings, and we set up a grad school showcase too for, I think that's what it was. And Mariani, I think that's when we met, right?
Yeah.
And we were in the Zoom room, and I was leaving the room because she was speaking with our graduate program coordinator, and I ended up closing the room, and I just like cut, you know, them off, and like we completely lost touch. Like I just met her online, and I was like, you know, and then I realized, oh yeah, she's in Juan's program, and so we somehow connected and got back together. But also the dangers of meeting on Zoom.
I remember that that thing. That was very good. I remember you guys enjoyed it a lot. Yeah.
So yeah. Okay, we have few people left. If anyone has any questions, you can do so. Don't be afraid.
Ask on the chat. Yeah.
Yeah, also.
It's amazing how different you see applying to a program when you're a student versus when you're the program director or just somebody who evaluates the applications. You have such anxiety as a student. It's like, I have to be a 4.0. Mira. Mariani, do you know when you guys are going back to in person in Mayagüez?
Yeah, I think the February 7th.
Oh, it's for everyone. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
all right. I just got the email. But I
Yeah.
thought it was, okay, I see it. See, I thought it was just in Rio Piedras, but it's they mentioning about the president and whatever, so it's the whole system. Wow, wow, wow.
I'm gonna stop the recording.